All right. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining us on the Exit Your Way Faces of Business program. Today with me, I've got the one and only Jeffry Graham. How are you doing today, Jeff?
Doing good. It's a little slushy out, but I can't complain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a little snow. It's like we got the snow slush going, so it's like
All
not quite
right.
snow, not quite rain. So
Well, there wasn't much snow in Colorado this winter, if I remember right.
no, there hasn't been a lot. And then we had like a weird one night of like a foot, and then
Yeah,
yeah, it like melts. One side of the road melts off, the other
yeah,
side doesn't because this the way the sun comes
yeah.
across. The Denver area, it's one street's got snow still and one doesn't. It's weird.
Yep,
One
yep.
side. So it's kind of a funny deal. But yeah, we've had a harder snow year. It hasn't been
Good for the skiers.
as yeah. It's not. We need more. That's
Yeah.
for sure. That's for
Well,
sure.
I think that Park City's had a lot where Andrew's at, and we're out
Yeah.
here. Out here, we've had record snow in Washington, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
yeah.
pretty
That's what
crazy.
my folks were saying. Was Snoqualmie
Yeah,
was going off.
nuts, nuts. They've had the pass closed down a lot. So I'm kind of excited today. We can talk about some multi-channel e-commerce sales. It's something that's near and dear to your heart. Something you've been working on a lot, both helping other people, working in companies that you're doing it, and
Yeah.
um, hopefully today the people listening can learn a little bit about that if they don't know about it or if they're trying to gain more knowledge about it. So. Um, if I always forget too, if you're listening on LinkedIn or Facebook, go ahead and hit in the comments where you're listening from. If you have any questions while we're talking, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I can see them. We'll be answering them while we go along.
Cool.
So Jeff,
Yeah.
let's just tell me a little bit about your experience selling on e-commerce platforms and e-commerce companies for the people that don't know already.
You know, um, won't bore people with my story too much, but I essentially built and sold my first website when I was really young, and I was in high school still, and from there learned more about the internet, and then I built my first, I say, website that had essentially a tangible marketplace attached to it in 2005. So, kind of a .com, not to quite .com bubble era, but just a period of time after that. And then, of course, we had a big influx and change after the '08 recession, and then we had a huge
Yeah.
push in e-commerce, and then Amazon kind of went through the emerging of that. Sold a software company in 2012, and ultimately it's been my whole career has been based in sales, but it's transitioned and positioned itself into a more digital space. And so I've been working in e-commerce now for probably a little too long. I mean, I'm saying to age myself now a little bit. I couldn't believe that Amazon's 20 had a 26-year birthday or 20-year birthday or something. Like, wow, time's flying by.
No
But
doubt.
yeah, so yeah, I've been helping companies for quite some time, scaling issues, multi-channel e-commerce, really anything that has to do with positioning or selling a product on the internet. And so that's been kind of my vast background, and most of the folks and companies I've been fortunate to work with, both big and small, have been selling on multiple channels sometimes, and then sometimes are looking to expand their market presence and go in that space, and sometimes kind of breaking things down, and gotten the luxury of being able to work with some really big, exciting companies, and then also love working with the small companies that are trying to find an opportunity within a multi-channel aspect, which is now mostly e-commerce marketplaces and things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I was, as you were saying that, I was thinking about your background, and you really have had a lot of multi-channel before e-commerce multi-channel. I mean, you sold through
yeah,
distributors and direct
yeah,
and through field reps and
yeah.
strategic partnerships and other things like that. So multi-channel sales is nothing new to you. You've just transitioned to the electronic stage of it.
Yeah. Essentially, the thing that we've all had to deal with is that the old school channel way, like the OEM distribution models, and kind of the the way had been done for so long is just eroded away. And now, you got manufacturers selling direct. That manufacturer direct model
Yep.
is taken over. So distributions or distributors are shrinking. Those opportunities are going away. And you're finding that a lot more folks are less concerned about channel protection. Like when we did sell and then back in the day where we would sell through a reseller or through a distributor, or through a tier partner, or a affiliate partner system. So now it's kind of gone away. Now it's manufacturers taking margin back, or companies going to in a direct model, and because they can now, the technology's caught up. It would have been too expensive and laborsome 10 years to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd have to spend $1 million to probably be able to compete. Now there's so many integrations, plugins, and things we'll probably talk about that make everyone have an opportunity to compete, but also then now creates a very competitive environment.
Yeah, that's true, because as the technology and the barrier to entry have gotten into, hey, I can sell online, and then now,
Lower,
now I can sell online. Now everybody else I know can sell online too. If at that same barrier to entry, we get more competition. And then when you look at the marketplaces, and we'll talk about that a bit too, like the Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, Zoro, whoever you're talking about, just made it that much easier for more people to get into it that wanted to do it. So yeah, that's interesting how that it's changed a lot. And the thing that I think is pretty exciting really is when some of these companies are looking at the hybrid models where they may have distributors and still the old school type retail box locations or whatever through a distributor network, but yet they're selling direct too, through Amazon, through Walmart, or out of their own website.
Yeah, a lot of brands, basically we're selling through channels. This is, probably within the last couple of years, we're selling through channel, and then they were like, hey, we want to sell direct, so we're going to rename this product, create a whole different piece of our business in order to not hurt their channel. And that was something that folks were doing as a strategic play. But then ultimately the product, people find out the product's the same. They find, and it kind of implodes on itself. And a lot of those ventures that big, multi-billion-dollar companies had pursued didn't work out. And where are the opportunities lie within channel? There's a lot of variables that folks need to think about now, and within the changes in the evolution of the marketplace, and how to sell in a marketplace, and how to position your products. And those are all things to decide if a multi-channel strategy digitally makes sense, and how you're going to win ultimately, and get your products where they need to get, in front of them as many people as possible. It's eyeballs now, right? And the internet's becoming as big as it is. It's becoming smaller. So we don't have, I've remember the statistic of about 10,000 websites entering the internet a day. That's now up to about 25,300 ish. New websites are now being launched daily, and that's
a lot.
Extremely large amount of folks trying to compete. But like you said, it's a lower barrier of entry. The technology is now improved. You don't need a huge software development team to code you a platform. You have out of the box solutions, you have plugins, integrations, and all these kind of, systems now that make life easy. But it also can be a slippery slope, depending on if you do it right, or you do it wrong, right? So
that's for sure, because when we look back at 2020, the people that were already on a few channels, e-commerce, and it was anything consumer related products, they probably killed it in 2020, just because of the fact that people are at home and ordering more online and driving. I don't know, I didn't look at the final numbers, but it was crazy high, the e-commerce sales in 2020 compared to 19, just because of the effect of people being home more. But I've got to believe that if somebody wasn't really into e-commerce and got into e-commerce in 2020 out of necessity, or it was planned, and they're looking at a multi-channel approach now, it's a lot more competitive than it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot more competitive, and the folks that have been there already on those channels have an advantage. You know, they have reviews, they have other things that are gonna give them leverage, and so you have to be able to niche yourself into a market and kind of speed up the process. And there's a lot of ways to do that, and there's a lot of ways to I'd say, play catch up, because yeah, a lot of folks were going into multi-channel expansions through the Wayfairs of the world, the Amazons, FBA, Walmart, Home Depot, and all, your Rakuten and all these kind of affiliate programs, and Shop.com and Google Shopping. And so everybody was kind of like, going that route before, but now it's, if you hadn't gone in that, gone that way, now now you have to play catch up a bit. And in
Yeah.
order to do that, you have to, I guess, skip a few steps and make a lot less mistakes in
Yeah.
order to catch up quick enough to be as competitive as you want to be. But yeah,
So you
those
bring up a good
are
point.
things.
So I'm sitting here today. I've got a website. I'm not on a platform yet, but I'm really considering some platforms. But I'm selling on my website. I'm doing okay, and I'm ready to go to an Amazon or somebody else like that. Um, what are some of the things I should be thinking about in my business that I might not be thinking about when I'm just running sales through my website? But when I go to that platform, any platform, I'm not talking platform selection, just what are some of the things that I should be prepared for before I get onto a platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. Now, there's I'd say there's a lot of things that
There
people
are, yeah, I'm
need
sure.
to consider before going on any platform. So every platform has their own policies and rules. Let's just say that their expectations, and that's going to come down to expectations of images, expectations of descriptions. If video's okay, if video's not okay, what are looking at the policies within every marketplace platform, which is probably what we're more focusing or talking about on, right? Or talking about
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
marketplaces, right?
yeah.
It said that 70% of all, even B2B buyers, are going to eventually lean on all marketplaces within the next 12 to 18 months. So you're talking about a huge influx in marketplace saturation, but also marketplace opportunity. So, you have things that you have to think of inside your company. Do you have the infrastructure to be able to deal with the order issues and order fulfillment? So you're going to have different policies and procedures per marketplace. You're going to have different fees for those things that you're wanting to sell through that marketplace. You also will have to then create uh, potentially different SKUs, different
Mm-hmm.
UPC codes, and then what order processing is going to happen, because the expectation when you ship through Amazon, from your warehouse, or when you shipped a Walmart order through your warehouse are different. And so
Mm-hmm.
now you have two different needs. These companies have different expectations, and so now you have to weigh those out. And then how do you make that efficient and effective so you don't lose money? You have fees and costs on the marketplace channels. You have advertising on the marketplace channels. Everyone knows and is enjoying Amazon's money grab with advertising fees and costs going up and up and up, and to the point where it's pretty much in line with what old school retail would cost you. Um, you have systems, internal systems. Is your infrastructure set up? So from order processing, hey, I get an order from X channel. It comes into my, is it a centralized system, or are we managing these channels individually to start? And then we're integrating them into a ERP of some kind, or some type of order management system to make it easier and streamline the process so we can keep our profitability up and all these kind of things. So when you're looking at going into multi-channel strategies, you also have to understand if it's the right channel for you. Is this the place you want to be selling? Should you be selling? Your competitors sell there, or do they not? Is your pricing competitive? Can you be competitive? I mean, there's just so many factors that are involved that you really have to understand the mode of the way that channel operates. And then also the other thing that I like to lean on is who's shopping on that channel. So you
Yeah.
have to understand the demographics, the typical buyer. One of the big opportunities I think that have happened and expose themselves is the government's changing their buying. So now,
Mm-hmm.
a normal company down the street can sell to the U.S. government, which is, it's the largest buyer in the world. So it's an opportunity if you have products that they need, which they need everything. So
Yeah.
everything from an
Yeah.
office chair to a, a bomb or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
The government's always buying, but what they've done is they've just minimized it's not as hard anymore to
Yeah.
sell there, and they're, the buyers also, we have to think B2B too, is the buyers are getting younger. And so they're doing Amazon searches, they're doing Google searches for products, and the more you have that spider web of your products out there, the more opportunity you are going to catch customers.
That's a good point, because I heard somebody say the other day that, I forget what it was, like 70% of all product search started on Amazon or something like that. It was a high number. I don't remember exactly, but that's kind of scary if you're not on Amazon, or Amazon and Google, or somehow to be found on both places.
Yeah, Amazon's evolved a lot over the years. It was one of the places where you're like, hey, I want to be there because I want to make money and be successful, and that's just become harder and harder for everyone that sells there. The other thing now that folks, I think, have positioned and are doing specifically on Amazon is using it as a brand play to bring them to their own site. Essentially, they're going to use Amazon as a FCA, first customer acquisition, the first order opportunity, and then they're going to, once they get that order and that package in someone's hands, then they're going to use that packaging opportunity to bring them to the direct website. Maybe it's for better pricing, maybe it's for quicker shipping if they're not an FBA seller, whatever it is, whatever angle that someone might want to choose, which there's many carrots we can play with there on how it works. But yeah, that's, to me, there's nothing better than a direct sale to your website in e-commerce. You're going to have the highest margin, you have the highest profitability. I mean, it's just a no-brainer, advertising costs, But if you can use channels to leverage your, essentially use those as hey, this is now my pool of people I can grasp, and then get them to come reorder direct. That's a lot of strategy that's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I think, especially new people that are new to e-commerce don't really understand, is if you build a website, it's not easy to get traffic to that website. There's a
No,
lot of competition.
it's never been harder. I mean, as transparent as possible, it's never been harder to get traffic to websites. And I shouldn't say traffic, because you can get traffic, but it's good traffic.
Yeah.
I should say, we should break it down to good traffic. It's never been harder to get good traffic because you have still only the first 2-3 pages of Google that matter on, and you still have this high influx of sellers. And when you have companies like just announced yesterday or day before, like a Disney, who's removing 60 brick and mortars, they're getting out of retail and they're going full into an e-commerce strategy. Okay. Well, okay, now I got to compete with them. If if I make a product that is something that they would, and they have deep pockets, right? So you have to be strategic and you have to be smart in how you sell, because you are competing against these monster companies that are all now pivoting to an e-commerce strategy, and they're going to saturate and control the market. So we want to make sure that as smaller businesses, we create niches within our spaces, and then we also create what's going to be as effective as possible, essentially. But the other good thing about it is, since technology has advanced so much, we actually can compete with Disney. We can compete and take opportunities away from big companies, multi-billion-dollar organizations, and that wasn't possible before. Thanks to platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce and BigCommerce, and of course all of the multiple channels. I mean, most people wouldn't know that Home Depot is a marketplace, right? I mean, that would be one that I could sell on HomeDepot.com. I didn't even know that was marketplace. It is a marketplace. Yeah, there's sellers all over the place on there.
Well, and when you think about it, and you go, if it and like you said, Home Depot is one, Bed Bath and Beyond, I think, don't they have one? And then there's Zorro, which is actually owned by Grainger for more industrial type products. I mean, there's so many, and like you said, Rakuten, or however you say it, it's a lesser known one. But when you look at even some of these lesser known ones, if you're kind of unique and it's the right buyer on there, it might be a good place, because we're still talking, they probably sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of product every year on the small channels.
Yeah. Yeah, and then what we're finding is niche marketplaces too. So
There you go.
we have our
Yep.
bigger marketplaces, like our Walmart, whatever. But we also have really niche marketplaces, like, hey, place where you only get pipes and fittings, or
Yep.
you're only going to get, tires, right?
Yep.
If you look at like a tire company, like Discount Tire, these big tire companies have had all these retail locations. Well, now they're probably doing more revenues through those online experiences that they're creating, ordering a tire, having it shipped to someone's house already mounted and balanced, throw it on your car, call it a day. So there are a lot of things that are changing, and you can
Yeah.
ship that stuff now relatively cheap. So
Yeah. Yeah. That is something. I mean, when you think about the changes that it's done, and I know we're getting a little off topic, but just the amount of stuff that we as consumers buy and get shipped to our house anymore, and the types of things. I mean, rugs and furniture, and you look at Wayfair and what
every
Wayfair has done to change the way that people buy furniture. I mean, you can buy big pieces of furniture that comes boxed by UPS. They figure out how to do it that way and get it to you, and you can put the stuff together. It's pretty crazy.
It is. And that's the thing about the big thing with selling on a channel is making sure that you can deliver too, right? And keep that
Yeah.
reputation up, and having, we're talking big products there, right? Shipping
Yeah.
that's a logistical challenge, but um I mean, there's just so many opportunities within channel development and channel expansion. It's just a matter of understanding that, weighing out what can be a risk that you want
Yeah.
to mitigate yourself to, and how to start, right? How,
Yeah.
how to get there first.
Well, going back to where we were talking about selling on the website and you're considering channels, I think one of the things that people might not be prepared for, and you mentioned two of them. First of all, is the customer service requirements. I mean, people expect, like when you order something on Amazon now, people expect that you're going to get a confirmation to your order like in minutes
Yep.
almost, and then you're going to see that order is shipped that day or the next day. Or I know on Amazon specifically you have to tell it how many days, but if you put in there that you're going to ship it in 5 days, you're going to lose a ton of customers, because they're expecting that order is going to go out that day if you order it early, or the next day at the worst. And then they're going to also expect that you get an email that confirms that, and maybe even a text that tells you that it's been shipped with a tracking number on it. So when you go back to some of these people that I've got my little shop that I've opened up and I'm making products, and now I'm going to go on to an Amazon platform and I get just 10 orders a day. Just think how much work that is if it's not automated to the point that a lot of that stuff is done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a lot of folks think that, hey, going in e-commerce is going to be the easy way to go, and we'll just throw a store up and we'll add some products to some websites and we'll do some advertising and it'll be done deal. Now, what the problem is yeah, the expectations of the buyers has changed to the point where no one has any patience anymore. Patience doesn't exist. Customer's always right, and Amazon, has created
Yep.
that persona and that model, and that model has put vendors at risk. So that risk is that now, you have to be Johnny on the spot. You cannot be behind on the communication aspects. You have to have people that are going to be able to deal with the communication aspects, both internally or externally within an organization. And then the other thing that you mentioned really is speed, right? So, the number one most important thing when someone buys on the internet is price. I mean, always everybody can
Yep.
say, price or value to price. The second is shipping costs and speed. So it's literally separated by about 4%. So those are the difference. Like, people care about shipping costs and speed almost as much as they care about price. So that tells you right there how important speed, shipping, communication is going to be on selling on these multiple channels. And that just because you're there doesn't mean that you can slow down. The other things are going to come into, like, is it in stock? people hate buying something or it says it's in stock. They make an order. Next thing you know, they get an email, hey, we're out of stock on this. We're sorry, our website wasn't updated. You just pretty much lost that opportunity indefinitely. People don't have the patience anymore. And
Yeah.
that's, kind of a unfortunate thing. Like, we're human, we make mistakes, nothing goes perfect in business. We all know that, but you just can't make that mistake anymore. It's just not something that it's hard to overcome. And in
Yeah.
addition to that, you've got trust to be built. You have to have reviews. You have all these aspects in which you're being analyzed, and people are automatically assuming a certain way, having a predisposed position on your company before they make that purchase, and then especially when they make that purchase. Something really cool a lot of companies are doing now as a strategy, and we'll just give anyone listening a nice free one here. um, if someone orders something from your store or through your channel and they order standard shipping, expedite the shipping on their first order. Every first customer you get, expedite shipping. Send it overnight, send it 2 day. It's going to get there days before they expect it, and they're going to be just enthralled, just even if they don't even need it. They're just going to be enthralled that, oh my gosh, I just ordered this yesterday. How's it here already? They didn't know
Yeah.
you expedited the shipping. They don't need to know that you did it. They're just, now you've already exceeded that expectation. That's one little thing you can do. It might cost you a little bit more for that first customer interaction, but guess what? On every channel interaction, if you do something like that in the beginning, you're going to get the repeat opportunities. Oh, I'm going to buy from them again. You've
Yeah.
already set a tone with that customer. You don't have a lot of opportunities to set the tone through any channel on any platform. Your window is really short, or really small, I should say. And so those are ways in which we can take advantage of the second most important thing on the internet, and that's shipping costs and speed, right?
Yeah.
Outside of price, when it comes to channel sales. So, and
Yeah.
also direct, but it's just kind
Yeah.
of a fun little tidbit for folks out there. Hopefully they'll use
Well,
that.
and it is, and it's something that I think, I don't know. I just got something this week, and I think that might have happened because I know it was shipping from Florida, and it got to my house in 2 days, and I wasn't expecting it until next week, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice. It's here early, and that's
I
what
mean,
you
even
think.
if you don't need it, you're just
Yeah, it wasn't.
automatically in the back of your head, you're like, oh wow, that's awesome. And then
Yeah.
now, if you order even from them again and it comes in normal time, fine.
Yeah.
But your expectations were exceeded off your first experience. And again,
Yeah.
that's going to be the same reason people come back to dine at another restaurant, right? We've heard that before. The
Hmm.
same reason someone's going to buy or shop somewhere again. And what we're finding is a lot of folks will do research on Amazon, but they will buy on direct sites directly. People really do like having interaction with the actual company that's making or procuring that good, versus selling through like a third party kind of seller, that we don't know
Yeah.
who they are. They're just a seller, on Amazon or on some platform. So there is that part that is an opportunity for folks as well.
So do you think then there's an opportunity if someone's looking at, obviously they got multi-channels, but do you think that they're people, if a product is maybe not the greatest fit for Amazon, but they should have that product listed on Amazon or Walmart too, just for the simple fact to give it the exposure, and then maybe get them back to your website to actually find and buy, answer questions? Or
Yeah, there's definitely those strategies out there where you want to cross pollinate as much as you can, across the internet. So really leveraging search engine,
yeah.
which if your product's on Walmart, and if, let's say that you have a product and it has its own trademark or something along those lines. So let's
Yeah.
just say it's yours. Whether it's like, let's say it's like a notebook or something, okay? If it has your trademark on it and you're selling on Amazon, you're selling it on Walmart, you're selling it on wherever, as you saturate those marketplace opportunities, your searchability is going to go up through search engines, meaning that when I'm looking for a product, those domain ranks that and domain weight that the Amazon and Walmart and all these big retailers or multi-channel e-commerce sellers have, is that their domains have a high authority figure. So your products being there is going to help your authority raise with that. along with theirs. And so as it becomes more and more, as you become and procure more and more orders, gather more and more reviews, building your multi-channel experience, your searchability through search engine is it's gonna just go off the charts, and
Oh,
then it becomes like a big snowball.
yeah.
Whereas, you're starting to get, all these inbound links, you're starting to get your SEO, people are searching for notebook, and boom, you're up your Amazon listings, your Walmarts, where do you basically on Google Shopping, where do you want to buy this? We sell everywhere, or you can come to our own store, and
Mm-hmm.
there are then pricing strategies that can make a lot of sense for sellers, because
Yeah.
you know the next piece to it is, we talk price being the most important thing. Well, on channel, you have to take fees into consideration. Selling
Yep.
direct, you have fees to consider, right? You have, your sunken costs or your embedded costs is, packaging, shipping, da da da. But price, you have a little bit more opportunity for margin, and price, I'd say build a more, you can be more competitive in your pricing.
Yeah.
Direct. And
Yeah.
that might steer somebody away from Amazon to you.
Yeah.
They'll
And
make more money
well,
because
yeah,
they're not
because
taking 25 points from you. So
yeah, exactly. Because the fees are getting higher, and
every year.
especially if you're an FBA, and it adds some complexity too if you're in an FBA type situation with Amazon, because you need to manage your inventory very closely, be moving inventory because you're charged for storage and the other things like that, and those costs can run away from you pretty fast if you bring a truckload of stuff in and don't sell it for a year and a half. And
Yeah,
well,
that's
in fact, you don't even get to keep it there, don't they? I think after
yeah,
so many
they'll
months, they just send it back to you.
they'll send it back. And so you're paying for storage, then you're so basically paying Amazon to distribute. So you're paying
Yeah,
distributor costs, plus you're going to be on marketplace, the fees, the cost to sell, and then you have to advertise. So
yeah,
you need to look at all those costs before you go run down that path. And
yeah,
those are things that folks don't look at. And the next thing you know, they're buying business essentially. They're losing revenue on every
yeah,
order. And then your
yeah,
infrastructure is set up to be able to fulfill quickly. You know, when we're
yeah,
B2B, we're used to maybe palletizing or shipping,
yep,
something. It doesn't need to be in a pretty package. Well, channel, let's say partners, will expect you to have some level of packaging and protection. And then you also have returns. Returning policies are different, that you have to take the product back. Buyer's remorse, those are all things that you don't get to choose on a platform. They'll
mm-hmm.
automatically send the refund. There is no kind of argument,
Yeah,
let's just say.
yeah.
So
Well, and
those
that's
are things that
something that's
people
just changed in the
lose
past
a
couple of
lot.
years. In the past couple, that's 3, 4 years. That's really changed a lot, because it used to be you had to get approval to get returns, blah blah blah, and now it literally is, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it, I'm sending it back. And
Yeah,
then what we have too, because we have this, I don't like it, I'm sending it back. You have now, and then now you have fraud that's
yeah,
going up through the roof too. So you have, orders that are being, you'll ship an order, and next thing you know, it's, oh, I'm returning it. They get their money back and they return it. You send I don't know, like I don't know, a
a
lawn chair.
shoe,
I don't
an
know,
old
shoe.
shoe.
You sent a shoe back, like you bought new shoes, and you sent an old pair back.
Yeah,
Said, oh, I didn't, and they're not gonna look at it. They're doing millions of orders a day. Amazon, they're not looking
yeah,
at those things. So those are things to just be concerned, worry about. Make sure you're really diligent on your fraud. You have there are software and their systems in there that can flag stuff and make life easier. So again, that goes into the technology aspects alone. But you know, selling in a multiple channel effort is a great way to go. I don't think I want to discourage anyone from going there. It's just understand the pitfalls of and the
yeah,
risks, just like you would if you were selling into a brick and mortar retailer. There's a cost to ship, there's going to be a cost to shelf, there's going to be a cost to merchandise. All these kind of things are going to go into that, but you have
yep,
an opportunity to do a high amount of volume.
yeah. Well, and that's, the reason why you really need to go multi-channel is because you simply run out of the right people buying on a given channel. I mean, you can use the best, you can make the best listing, you can have the best advertising, but in the end, even on Amazon, there's only so many people looking for, purple tennis shoes every day that are
Yep.
in the size 8. There's, and if you've everybody has seen it and they don't like those purple tennis shoes, you got to go to Walmart or you got to go to Target, you got to go someplace else and get them on more platforms or eBay and try to get more eyeballs at them. It's that simple.
Yeah, and that's another thing that you bring up is SKU adding, essentially adding SKUs or products to what you would have sold. You might have only sold, let's just say, like this headphone set, right? Like I only sell headphones. Then you might move into selling other things that are helpful or in addition to accessories, right? A headphone hanger or a wall mount or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happening, right? Is people are having to then get more SKUs, get
Yeah.
a larger supply chain, offer more products, so that you're creating kind of your own marketplace within a certain segment or niche. And
Yeah.
that is something you do extremely well. I've seen sellers do really well through their direct website and make more profit, but I've seen them do way more volume through channel, but make less profit. So I guess it just depends on the goal, but being diverse is good because it mitigates your risk as
Yeah.
a company, especially selling on the internet. If you have a problem with the store or you have customer complaint and they shelf you or they stop you from selling for a period of time, your business is in trouble.
Yeah.
It might ding you 10% or whatever, 5%, 20 hopefully or less, but your diversification of revenue through channel is going to be very helpful.
Yeah. And
Don't have
that's
all your eggs in one basket.
that's a great point. Cause I mean, how many umpteen gazillion people do we talk to that are selling on Amazon? They've got their products. They don't really even have a website. And if Amazon switched policies tomorrow and decided something, detrimental to their product line, they're screwed.
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's the scary thing, right? When companies become, I guess I would look at it like the '90s retail world, right? Where Walmart was getting in trouble of going, hey, if you don't sell us for this price, we're pulling you off all of our
yeah.
shelves, however many stores they have, and that to somebody was like, well, I guess we're going to take the loss because we can't afford, our business will go bankrupt if we don't have those channels. So
Yeah.
those are things that risk mitigation is important, but there are channels that are ones that folks would traditionally think aren't a good selling platform, like in eBay, right? Most people would go, "Oh, eBay isn't that an auction site?" No, it's not. I mean, yeah, it's an auction site, but it's not what it was. And eBay has evolved and changed a lot. What I really like about eBay too is that when you pay for advertising, you're paying for when you sell versus paying just to advertise. So
Yeah.
you pay when you get a transaction. Like, hey, if this transaction came through an advertisement, you pay a percentage. That's a cool model. I think that
Yeah.
I wish Amazon and Google did that, but unfortunately, we don't get that lucky. But
Yeah.
eBay is an opportunity. You got Overstock, House, right? As a Target, Wish, Granger. You have from a B2B, you got HD Supply, Westco. These companies are all multi-channel. You have Jet, you have Rakuten, like we talked about Wayfair, Walmart, Bing, Google Shopping, Bing Shopping.
Yeah.
And then you got all the Amazon marketplaces, and you have like all the niche retailers like McMastercard or
Yeah.
some online seller.
So if you were sitting here today and you were like, I'm doing pretty good, I'm thinking I need to go on another channel, what would be in selecting a channel, what would you be looking at?
So the biggest thing is understanding is your customer even there, right? Is your customer even on that platform? Okay, so if you're selling a certain good or widget or product, you got to make sure that your customer is there, because selling on the wrong channel can be very detrimental to your business, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
making orders and things like that. The other thing that I look at is what's the opportunity. So within that channel, let's say Amazon or Walmart, how saturated is it in X product? And then what's the competition look like, both in an advertising front and then also just a storefront? So all the stores, what, how many people am I competing with? So competitive analysis is really important on every channel that you're thinking of exploring. And then I would run it backwards. So I would go, hey, is this an opportunity for me to sell here? If so, here's what I need to do to be there. Okay. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to walk back the costs to be there. And
Yeah.
then I'm going to see if it's equitable for the business.
Yeah.
That's the kind of step, or I would say that's the way to go about it, is starting from the end, or that analysis is very important, and then walk yourself back all the way to fulfilling that order, the headache, the strain on your business internally, and can you handle it? So your systems handle it already, or are you going to need to change systems, or are your systems prepared for it beforehand, or can you kind of band-aid it and then do it as you go, which is totally a fine strategy and can work very well. It just depends on speed and volume. Like if you just start selling, you need to make sure you deliver, and that
Yes.
um, there's a fine balance there, right? We've seen
Yeah.
many times before where folks fall on their face and destroy their reputation because they reach too far too fast. So those
Yeah.
are all
Well,
things.
and you make a good point with that, because I don't think people realize, unless they've been selling on a platform like Amazon, the real volume of people that are looking for, just say, a common item, a certain Bic pen or something. That might be a bad example, but if I was to go in on a listing and I was selling, and I had an account selling Bic pens on Amazon, and I dropped the price to half of what everybody else is, you can generate thousands of orders in minutes on
Yeah.
some items like that are high demand items. And you're exactly right. They're not prepared for that any way, shape, or form. So,
Nope.
all the way from quality of the data that you're giving Amazon on something like price, or just being able to process that many orders. And I think that's a big consideration for somebody that's going to channel, because if I'm selling a $20 item, how many orders am I going to be processing? If I'm selling $1,000 item, now I'm probably going to be processing fewer orders, at least in the beginning.
Right.
So those two things take a lot different planning when you get started doing that.
Yeah, that they're going to be. It's so important to deliver, right?
Yeah.
And people, like I said, kind of early on, people don't accept your lack of delivery. It just
Mm-hmm.
ruins and salts the whole entire reputation
Yeah.
instantly. I mean, there's no second chances in that. In e-commerce has become, everyone's become more stringent on their expectations, because there are those companies that have exceeded the expectations so well that now everyone has to adhere to that level,
Yeah.
and there isn't really an option to mess it up. And if you do,
Yeah.
you better make it right, meaning it's free or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the negative reviews will kill you. The reputation management alone is a challenge if you start going down that road. And you're right, you know, overselling can kill your business, underselling can kill your business. It is a fine line between how you would scale these channels on volumes, and then if you start hitting volumes that are a little high, pull your listing, pause your listing, regroup before you get yourself in trouble. Don't get greedy on the revenue aspect of it, because it can cause you major problems down the road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are just kind of rule of thumb, tricks of the trade. But
Yeah.
you have, there's you know it's not as easy as it was once. It was once. Now there's so many pieces to this thing, and so much. You got to do this now. What about your social media? Are you selling on social media? Do you have a store on Facebook? It's become overwhelming now. It becomes it's a monster, and it becomes this thing. Even for a small little business, they have, like, I'm selling on 5 marketplaces, and I have my own store, and then I have to manage all my social media, and then I have to manage
Yeah.
my content, I have to manage all my listings, I have to manage the software, and I don't have a lot of money. I mean, it becomes it's a monster, and
Yeah.
it can give you an opportunity to go to the next level. But
To
understand
get there.
Amazon took a lot of investment before they turned a profit.
Yeah.
And we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars of losing before they
Yeah.
started to spend the revenue the other way. So
Well,
you got to
lucky for us, it doesn't take billions to get in and get selling on e-commerce, because it's a thing. And I think this is kind of a good segue into something that I know you've been putting a lot of effort into lately, and that's the e-commerce management cooperative, because I think that's really something that was born out of quite honestly a lot of people that were in e-commerce that you've worked with, and we know, that came together to really go, listen, this is not just a website anymore. This is not just somebody that knows pay-per-click. This is getting to the point that you really need to kind of guide your way through this, and then have the resources you need at that point in time, because not everybody needs a whiz bang website. Their website may be fine, but if they're not converting online or on channel or whatever, it might be content or it might be something else. But the challenges, as you said, for a small business are daunting. So talk a little bit about e-commerce management cooperative, and kind of how, these resources work together to really get us, this should say, not a smaller business, but a business that's starting out in e-commerce, the resources they need faster.
Yeah. The idea around the cooperative is to give small to mid-sized businesses an opportunity, and by grouping professionals that have done it in all aspects of e-commerce together, and having a collective goal and operating in a collective manner to benefit a company, is a lot more equitable, both for the company and then also for the resource provider, let's say. And so cooperatives have been around a long time, right? Farming cooperatives allow a small
Yep.
farm to now sell to a large grocer, which they would never have had the opportunity to do without that cooperative joining all of the farmers together and then selling to the large grocer as one. So there are opportunities within that, but understanding that e-commerce is becoming an A to Z game. And I look at it a lot like, to be really good in e-commerce is like being in the NFL. It's a whole different ball game from playing pee wee football, and then it gets harder when you get to high school, and then it gets harder when you get to college D4, and then you go to D1 even harder, and then you go from that jump from here to here, and that's a monster gap between college ball and NFL, right? And I just saying,
Yep.
as an analogy, is so you don't have, when you're looking at e-commerce and it's an A to Z, you have providers that provide one solution all the time, right? Let's just say you're an SEO company, you provide SEO services. Fine, no problem. But if you're an SEO company, everyone always has an SEO problem. Does that make sense, right? You've
Yeah.
heard that before, right? Oh, I bet it's SEO. We can help you with your SEO because we're an SEO company. Our vested interest is to sell you SEO. Look, the cooperative is not designed for the interest of an individual provider. It's designed for the benefit of the company and what they need. There's no like, hey, I'm an SEO guy, I'm selling you SEO. Hey, I'm a PPC guy, I'm selling you PPC. Hey, I'm a channel manager, I'm selling you channel management. No, it's everything. It's what does the company need in the stage, in its ecosystem, and where it's at. And then how do we provide a solution that's equitable, that a small company can now compete with the big companies? And it has allowed a lot of great providers coming in, that have niched to really good at one thing, to be able to be good at one thing, but to the benefit of the company that needs it at that time. It is all depending on where the business is at in its ecosystem within e-commerce. And so it's a huge win for companies, and it's a huge win for folks like us who have been working with companies for years, to be able to go, hey, I don't care if you need SEO or unique content, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to you, maybe, Damon, either, right? Because I'm not just a content guy, I'm not just an SEO guy. But we have resources that do both at the highest level. So it's like having, a staff of trainers that you would never be able to afford to have access to, that you now have access to and can afford,
Yeah.
because it's a group effort, because we're all pulling on the same end of the rope. And that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it a really big opportunity. And as this thing gets harder and more competitive, people, we love helping companies, and I think it's been our passion for a long time. And I hate seeing what's happening, to small to mid-sized companies right now. They're just getting squeezed down, and they're getting a lot of bad advice and a lot of, band-aid over artery wound stuff thrown at them. And we wanted to provide a solution that wasn't that.
Yeah.
That was really providing something that could handle their business from the beginning, inception, all the way to 100 million, 200 million revenue. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I think it's exciting because I know that for a lot of business people, just figuring out who can help them, it's tough. And if you're sitting there on the front end of this and you're going, I'm trying to do e-commerce, I've got a website, I've got some products on it, and I think I need to drive traffic. Well, if I was even to the point that I knew I wanted to do pay-per-click, or I knew I wanted SEO services, then how do you go through all of the SEO providers that would be applicable to you, to your industry, or to your type of thing you're doing? And then how do you know which one to pick if I'm a business person? That's the thing that I always look at from standpoint is they know business, or they know their business. They don't understand this.
So look at it like, I say we look at it like medical. When you go to the doctor, you don't automatically go to an orthopedist, right? Or to, let's say,
heart surgeon.
Whatever, heart surgeon. You don't know you have a heart problem, okay? You go to a general practitioner, right, that assesses your health, right? Assesses where you're at, what's wrong with you. And then what do? They send you to a specialist.
Yeah.
And then the specialist takes care of that specific problem. But you still have your general doctor, because you're going to have another problem. It might be your elbow. And then you need to go see someone specialist for that. And again, their specialists exist because they're really good at one thing. They're really good at something, and they have focused their entire life and career on that one thing. And you want specialists in e-commerce working on your business. But the problem is if you went straight to the knee doctor, you have a knee problem. And if you look at it like that, is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to remove the fact that, look, we don't know what your problem is or what you need specifically around e-commerce, but we're going to provide you a solution, a full suite of solutions. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the ecosystem. If you're at an advanced and you want to understand AI and machine learning, and you want to understand sophisticated price modeling, we can do that. I mean, we have plenty of people that have done that for multi-billion-dollar organizations. But if you also want to create your first website listing, you've never done it before, we could do that too. It would be a different human being, most likely.
Yeah.
But it's still providing a solution that's specific to the need, rather than what, oh, you have a problem because you're coming to this person or whatever. So
Yeah.
I look at an analogy. I don't know if it's as good a one as I maybe hope it would be, but it is like that. You don't go to the doctor. You don't go to a specialist before you go to a regular doctor.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think
a mechanic shop or something, right? Like, hey, go to a mechanic shop, your transmission's gone. Then mechanic shops can go, your transmission's gone. We don't do transmissions here. You got to take it to our guys down the street. They're great transmission guys. They're going to get your transmission fixed.
Yeah.
Why are there transmission people and general mechanics? Why are there tire companies and transmission? Again, it's the whole thing as a specialist, work and understand how to be effective and efficient in that area. And we want to do that across the board, both through channel, through e-commerce, through scaling problems, infrastructure, technology, AI, voice recognition, software, and security. The list goes on. There's so many aspects to e-commerce, but
Yeah.
That's really why it was designed and developed. So I mean, that was the whole point. Is so that
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Jeff, it's been awesome talking to you about this. And if people want to get a hold of you, and talk more about multi-channel e-commerce and maybe some of the steps they should take or just questions they have, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so our website's ecommerce.mgmt.com, so management for short. So you could just go to our website, submit a form, ask questions. You can also go to LinkedIn, search me
Okay.
on LinkedIn, and send me a message,
All right.
or shoot an email. I mean, our email on e-commerce at the Cooperative is info@ecommercemanagement.com. Super simple. But yeah, any issues or
Okay.
challenges, we're here to help. But that's the vision of it, and that's what we've been putting into play, and so far it's going really well.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think that there's a million stories of e-commerce gone wrong, and
Too many.
and skeptics, quite honestly, in a lot of places where you hear two similar companies, one has a horrible experience and others have a much different experience. So
Yeah, it's what not to do that
yeah,
makes you win on the internet.
yeah,
Is learning that what not to do are so important.
yeah, that's for sure.
Be crippling, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
yeah, it's a fun adventure. There's a lot to think about, and I know it's a lot for folks that are probably listening to think about, but huge opportunities exist in multiple channels, but also, you got to think about your business a little differently.
yeah, and where you start. So
Yeah.
awesome, Jeff. Well, thanks for being here today. I
Yeah.
want to thank everyone for listening again to the Faces of Business. I am going to be back again next Tuesday. And yes, I did forget who's coming back, and I'm talking to you next week. I think I'm actually talking to Andrew Deutsch about
Cool.
AI powered sales. He's got some really interesting stuff that they're working on to help salespeople sell better using AI, and really interesting stuff. But Jeffry Graham, e-commerce management, thanks once again for being here in the Faces of Business. If anybody's got questions on e-commerce, multi-channel e-commerce, selling on Amazon, Jeff, reach out to Jeff, and he'll give you what he knows.
We'll help you out.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.